the gridiron or courtside, you know what time it is. It's
Sports plus life. Sports plus life.
ringside or front court or field pass, we ballin', no. Knuckle up or buckle up, I tell it like it is when I'm on my show. Home run, slam dunk, knockout, or got some dough.
Sports plus life.
Yeah.
Sports plus life.
Yo, 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 yo! What's up? What's really good? It's your boy Brandon Brevon Towns, host of that show called Sports Plus Life. You feel me? Oh man, and you already know what's going down today, folks. Yeah. So guess what? Guess what? Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it all the way off now. Yeah. How was everybody doing today? Oh, man, please allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Brandon Brevon Towns, host of that show called Sports Plus Life, that there sports podcast where we talk about all of the necessary topics in sports and all of the necessary topics in life. How is everybody doing on this beautiful, blessed mañana? Okay, we had some ugly weather, a little bit of snow on Friday night and the Saturday, but it won't nothing, you know what I'm saying? All roads were clear. Everything was cool. I was able to deliver safely. Everybody at my job was able to deliver safely, So definitely thankful for that. And man, hey, yo, Super Bowl is set, bruh. The Super Bowl is set, dog. But before we get into sports, you know I got to give my weekly shout out to my black and gold fam and my fam anywhere you are or maybe in the world. How's everybody doing? I love you. It is Monday, January 31st, 2022. Like I said, beautiful sunny day, chilly, but beautiful and sunny. And definitely shout out again to my black and gold family. Keep them love bombs coming. Keep the positive energy going. And Keita, happy birthday, baby girl. One of my longtime friends, one of my longtime homies, Nikita Brown's her birthday today. Special shout out to you because you know I love you, girl. You know I love you. I love you for a long time. Yeah, I love long, and she's goofy. We are goofy. When we hang out, we are just as goofy can be. Okay, love her some Eddie Murphy movies, man, and me and my cousin David are the ones who put on to Beavis and Butthead way back in the day. So again, yes, definitely again, I wanted to give you that, show you that birthday shout out, and again, the love to my black and gold fan. But without further ado, folks, let's get to it. As I said earlier, the Super Bowl is set. Super Bowl 56 matchup is now official, and I'm gonna give you an analyzing perspective of the game, of both games, and we will start with the 3:00 game, which was the early game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, before I get on that, they had Ashanti singing the anthem at that game. Good Lord, Ashanti is still fine, but her microphone was messing up, and then the crowd was, of course, they hyped up, probably 75% of them drunk. They singing the anthem, and then, the camera wasn't showing enough Ashanti. I mean, for real. But she sounded great, but her microphone was all screwed up. But anyway, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, I said this for the last 2 months. I said that the Cincinnati Bengals were not to be trifled with, that quarterback, that dude, and those weapons that he has are going to be around for a long time. I did not think for 1 second that around the long time would be right now. The Cincinnati Bengals upset the Kansas City Chiefs 27-24 in overtime in Arrowhead. And the Bengals are headed to their first Super Bowl since 1988. Now, This is the main question that has been getting asked all day. Did the Bengals win this game, or did the Kansas City Chiefs just utterly collapse? Well, it's always a combination of both. Because, once again, now, I picked the Chiefs to win this game. The only reason why I picked the Chiefs to win this game is because I stayed consistent with what I had picked the whole season. I said the Chiefs would go to the Super Bowl all year, so I had to stay true to what I believed was going to happen early in the season. But I did say that I was rooting for the Cincinnati Bengals. That I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs because I feel like I have to, but I'm going to root for the Cincinnati Bengals. And what happened is, as the week went on last week went on, I was just thinking about this game, and I said, man, I think about everything that Kansas City had to go through just to beat Buffalo. I'm sitting there thinking, man, when you have a life and death struggle like the Buffalo game, you know, it's easy to have a letdown. I'm thinking they may have a letdown because, one, they're at home. If they were going on the road, because Patrick Mahomes has never played in a road playoff game, I'm thinking maybe that would give you a new level of focus. So I thought that the Chiefs would actually come out flat. Man, was I wrong. I was dead wrong. The Chiefs came out like gangbusters, jumped out on the Bengals 21-3. Remember, these two teams played in week 17, and the Chiefs had a 14-point lead at 3 different occasions during that game. But I'm like 21-3 in Arrowhead, and the Chiefs are rolling. This crowd is hype. They can taste their 3rd straight Super Bowl appearance. I was like, really ain't looking good. Then Joe Burrow throws a screen pass to Samaje Perine, and he goes and he takes it to the house. 40-some-yard touchdown play. 1 minute left on the clock. Well, we know that's more than enough time for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if you give him 13 seconds was enough time. So Kansas City goes right back down the field. Now, craziness then happens. You got 5 seconds left. You're at the Kansas City 3 or 4 yard line. And instead of kicking the field goal, you got greedy and you tried to go. Maybe they thought they could run a quick play and if it doesn't work, maybe have 1 second left. But he throws it out into the flat to Tyreek Hill, and Eli Apple makes a tackle inbounds, and the clock runs out. Now we're heading to halftime. It's 21-10. But 21-10. KC still got this. Plus, KC got the ball back first in the second half. So I'm thinking, what are you thinking? Okay, well, now, but if you're Cincinnati, you're saying, well, this feels familiar. They were down by 11 in their game just 4 weeks ago. So I'm like, okay, but again, you were at home. Now you're in Arrowhead. So then what happens is the Cincinnati defense all of a sudden turns lights out.
Biatch.
They turn lights out. The Kansas City Chiefs scored 3 more points for the rest of the game. They started getting the Mahomes, Hendrickson, and Hubbard. And then they were making interceptions. You had the big offensive lineman who batted the ball, in the air and got the interception. And all of a sudden, it's a tale of two halves. Now, while the Chiefs did a relatively good job on Jamar Chase, they made a conscious effort to still have Jamar Chase involved in the game plan. I think they did a way better job of that than Buffalo did with Stephon Diggs. T. Higgins showed up, especially after you lost C.J. Uzomah, who I'm pretty sure was a big part of the game plan. But again, like I've been saying, Mixon, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, all of these weapons stepped up. Joe Burrow had to make some plays with his legs. And then so Cincinnati takes the lead by field goal with a nice amount of time to go, because they had a long drive and then Kansas City had a long drive and it goes to overtime. And as soon as Kansas City wins the toss, I'm thinking, dang, I text my Uncle Tuck. I said, Burrow ain't even gonna get to see the ball. I said, and that's a damn shame. But yes, he did. Because on second down, Patrick Mahomes makes a throw, and it should have been a pick six by Eli Apple. It should have been a game, set, match pick six by Eli Apple. And the first thing that went through my mind, whenever you don't get the pick, it comes back to bite you. Well, what happened was Mahomes took a deep bomb shot to Tyreek Hill, and that one got picked. They got the interception anyway. It was a great play by the safety Bates, who tipped the ball right into the hands of Von Bell. And Cincinnati got the ball, and they started chewing up yards. Mixon started chewing up yards on the ground. And Shooter McPherson, very rarely will I say you have a superstar kicker. Shooter McPherson, rookie out of Florida, real name Evan McPherson. This kid is a superstar kicker. because he has been absolutely money in the postseason. And he sent the Cincinnati Bengals, the motherfucking Cincinnati Bengals, to the Super Bowl. 4 seed, 10-7, they're Super Bowl bound. Look out. This is a team that is way ahead of schedule. Way ahead of schedule. And I believe if they win, should they win the Super Bowl, this may be the start of something special in Cincinnati, because again, you're Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. They're all still under their rookie deal. So it's really the one thing that you have to shore up is that offensive line. And it's funny as hell, because what did I say last week? I said, I don't care if the Bengals win the Super Bowl. You have to get that offensive line shored up. But sure enough, there will be a bad offensive line that is in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I guess you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, as far as that's concerned. But, I mean, that's crazy. The Cincinnati Bengals, 2-14 2 years ago, 4-12 last year, are going to the Super Bowl this year in an AFC where all we talk about is Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and we talked so much before the season started about the Cleveland Browns, and the team that is left standing from the American Football Conference is that dude Joe Burrow and them Cincinnati Bengals. And then they asked, because he had a nice little chain on yesterday, they're going to ask him, those real diamonds. And he said, yeah, I make too much money to wearing fake diamonds. I mean, I like him. I wasn't sold on him at first just because I had seen plenty of college quarterbacks be great on the collegiate level and come to the NFL and it'd be a totally different story. But I'll be honest with you, after about 2 games of his rookie year last year, I was like, no, this dude can play. I'm like, no, he legit. He's legit. I was like, I hope Cincinnati doesn't screw it up. And just 1 season later, Joe Cool, Moneybag Joe, is in the Super Bowl. Man, that's something special. But on to the NFC game. So the Cincinnati Bengals will be in the Super Bowl against, drumroll, the Los Angeles Rams. Just try to build up a little, try to be a little dramatic or whatever. But yes, the Los Angeles Rams defeated their NFC West counterpart nemesis, the San Francisco 49ers, by a score of 20-17 and ending a 6-game losing streak that they had to the 49ers. And it was a home game, that really was about as 50-50 as you can get when it comes to the crowd noise. I mean, that was California Love showed up, and they showed out to support both of their teams, LA and San Francisco. But Matthew Stafford is getting to his first Super Bowl in his 13th year in the league, spending the first 12 with the Detroit Lions. Now, everybody is on the Matthew Stafford train as well as should be. He's played very well this postseason. Now, he caught a gift yesterday when he threw a ball up. It was, for all intents and purposes, it was like a punt. And Jaquiski Tartt, I'm not sure if I said his first name right, but Tartt just flat out dropped it for the 49ers. He's playing center field. I mean, the ball hits him right between the numbers, and he just drops it. And you know what? Again, when you don't get the pick, it comes back to bite you in the ass. The 49ers were in position to win this game. They were up at one point, 17-7. Going into the fourth quarter, they were up 17-7. They were up 10 points headed into the fourth quarter of a championship game. What does that sound familiar? That sounds very familiar. When is the last time that happened? Oh, yes, a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl when they were up by 10 in the fourth quarter and could not close the deal. Everybody is pointing at Jimmy Garoppolo. See, I told you, he is not the guy. I don't know what to say, man, as far as that goes. I really don't, because while he may not set the world on fire, the guy wins football games. I mean, this is their second NFC Championship game appearance in the last 3 seasons. I mean, that's not an accident. You get there 1 year, maybe you can say that's an accident. But if you do it twice in 3 seasons, that's not an accident. I mean, now he may not be the main reason why they've reached these championship rounds, but I mean, him being the quarterback, got to count for something, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't hand it off and run every play. I mean, the last time they played the Rams on the last week of the season, he played fantastic. He outplayed Matthew Stafford. But once again, they could not close the deal. And once Aaron Donald and Von Miller and Leonard Floyd started keying in on him, I mean, the Rams defense stepped up big time, like when they had to. In the fourth quarter of that game, Jalen Ramsey, he dropped a pick six. That could have been a game-clinching pick six for Ramsey. And Matthew Stafford stepped up. Cooper Kupp stepped up. Another game where Cooper Kupp has 11 more catches, 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham stepped up. OBJ played like a superstar yesterday. Both him and Kupp had over 100 receiving yards, and I'm very happy for Odell because I sit there and I listen to Skip Bayless constantly discredit him, and that's one issue I have with Skip Bayless. I love Skip Bayless, but when he doesn't rock with you, or if it's something that's not going his way, he goes out of his way to discredit you. Like, he goes out of his way to discredit anybody that Tom Brady plays with if Tom Brady loses a game. It's everybody else's fault. Because he's a Baker Mayfield fan, the whole situation with Odell Beckham is all Odell Beckham's fault. And I'm so glad that that OBJ balled out of control yesterday. He really did, which leads me to believe that he's a free agent next year, which leads me to believe that he is going to stay in LA because that's really a perfect spot for him. I don't think he needs to be top dog receiver because maybe I don't know if the pressure gets to him or not, but he seems to fit in perfect with that Rams culture. He's a team guy. He appears to be a team guy. He wants to win because he hasn't set the world on fire with his numbers since he got to the Rams, but it was a damn sight better than what he was getting in Cleveland.
What's wrong with you?
I mean, for real, it was a damn sight better than what he was getting in Cleveland. This was his first, matter of fact, I think this was his first 100-yard receiving day since 2019. And it couldn't come at a better time. So what we have now is, for the second year in a row, a team will host the Super Bowl. Last year, of course, the Super Bowl was in Tampa Bay. The Bucs were there. They had the home field advantage, if you will. And in SoFi, the Los Angeles Rams will be playing the Super Bowl on their own home turf. Now, I'm very excited about this game, but back to this football game between the Niners and the Chiefs. Again, you asked the question. Tony called me as soon as the game was over, and I said, I told you the Rams were going to win. And he was like, nah, the 49ers lost. Well, it's a combination of both. It is definitely a combination of both, because you can look and say, okay, Tart dropped the interception, he dropped the interception and whatnot. That's fine. But there was also a drive where Matthew Stafford had some pinpoint passes. One of them dropped by Cooper Kupp, where he would have hit his head on the goalpost. Another was a deep bomb to wide receiver number 18, and he just flat out dropped it in the end zone for a touchdown. So, I mean, either way, whoever lost that game, you were going to point to those moments of saying, these are reasons why they lost. Now, that little shovel pass when Aaron Donald was draped on his back that Jimmy Garoppolo tried to make, I mean, he's just trying to make a play. It's third down, game's on the line. If you get sacked, you probably got a 4th and 25. But honestly, bro, you got to eat that one. Because whether it's 4th or 25 or not, anything can happen. You could throw a pass, a desperation heave. You could get a flag. Anything can happen. You have to eat that one, bro. That was bad. That was bad situational football by Jimmy Garoppolo. But again, shout out to the Rams. Von Miller, my boy, like, it's one of the reasons why I am kind of invested in the Rams, because I'm a Von Miller fan. I'm a Von Miller fan, and Von Miller has turned back into Von Miller over the past month of the season, about the past 2 weeks of the season, and in these playoffs, he has been an absolute beast. An absolute beast. And again, if you're a 49er fan, this had to be a terrible feeling of deja vu, as I pointed out earlier. Up 10, fourth quarter, championship game. You know, you can't close, you're not able to close the deal. So I know some 49er fans who are absolutely sick today, because they were in very good position to win that game. And they didn't run the ball as effectively as they had done the previous 2 playoff games against Dallas and Green Bay. But like I said, 17-7 fourth quarter. The defense was still there. Bosa was still there. Armstead, Warner, like I said, Tart missed the interception. But that a lot of people have said, well, if he makes that interception, I think they win the game. Well, it's easy to say that now because he didn't. It's easy to say that after the fact. But let's say he did intercept that pass. For all intents and purposes, it was a punt. They would have been at about the 35-yard line. It was early in the fourth quarter. And who's to say that the Rams defense wouldn't have come up with a turnover themselves? So we never know. Like I said, it's a combination of a lot of things, but it was a very good and entertaining championship game. It was a very good and entertaining championship Sunday. And me personally, I cannot wait until the Super Bowl 2 weeks from 2 weeks. Well, I guess 13 days now. 13 days we'll have Super Bowl 56 in SoFi between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams. This is the lowest seeding Super Bowl ever. Both 4 seeds, the 4 seed from the AFC and the 4 seed from the NFC, will be matching up in the Super Bowl. And I talked to a lot of people that really thought that it was going to be Cincinnati and San Francisco. And you guys were almost right. But again, unfortunately, the 49ers couldn't close the deal. But again, I'm happy for Odell Beckham. I'm happy for Matthew Stafford. I'm happy for Aaron Donald. I'm happy for my boy Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey. This is a loaded team. Like when they got Odell Beckham, I saw a few people seeing on Facebook, and I was one of the people who said the Rams better win. They better go to the damn Super Bowl. And then after that, you added Von Miller. I was like, wait, what? And still that team had their doubters, even with all that star power. And they are in Hollywood, and they are as star-studded as a football team that you will ever see in the history of the NFL, as far as that much star power. I'm not talking about guys who, ascended to be stars. Like you look at the great Steelers defenses of the past, or, you look at the Ravens defense, or you look, or just these teams in general. They have star power from established players. Established players who are already on, who are already on their team or eventually came to their team. And now they will host the Super Bowl. And I can't make a prediction right now because I honestly don't know who I think is going to win the game. I just know I'm excited as hell to see it. Now, from a schematic standpoint, I'm going to talk about that Bengals offensive line again, because now you have to deal with Aaron Donald and Von Miller and Leonard Floyd. So this is definitely going to be interesting. Because I said that a couple of weeks ago. I said, what if the Bengals happen to go to the Super Bowl and they happen to play somebody like the Rams? And what do we have here? Here we go. That's all I can say. Here we go. And I'm about to reach out to my compadre. I am, because now I gotta get his opinion on this. I reached out to my compadre and I got him. He's here. And he's been with me all football season. What's up, brother?
Same old.
Well,
finally at the end of the road.
We are at the end, although we've come to the end of the road.
Oh boy. All right, Wanye.
And that's what they used to call me too back in the day. Boy, I tell you, your boy got some pipes over here now. But let's talk about let me get what's your reaction to first the AFC Championship game.
I mean, it's not surprising. I think that
you called it
early on. Early on, I called it that way, not necessarily because I believe that the Bengals would have been the surefire team to beat them. I also felt like Buffalo could have went in there and beat them. Early on in the season, we saw KC. And what we saw was a different, and people put it as a one-off and said, that they were struggling because of this and struggling because of that. Then they got on a roll. The defense got it together. They got on a roll, so people penciled them in and said they absolutely the favorite. They the best team. They can beat anybody, and yada, yada, yada. And I just think that some of the AFC teams didn't believe that. And Cincinnati was one of them teams, as you said yesterday on the phone call, house money. When people don't expect anything from you, you can play however you want to play. Throw caution to the wind. And but I will give props to one part of the Bengals team more so than the others, because their offense has been pretty consistent all year. Their defense stepped up with Mahomes.
Big time.
And they struggled in that first half, but they made adjustments. And second half, a lot of them playmakers didn't make a peep.
And the crazy thing is with the Bengals defense, because they don't have that star, that household name. I mean, Hendrickson had set a franchise record in sacks, but you don't really know guys like Hendrickson and Hubbard. But I mean, them, but like I said, they're a very good collection of talent, and they're young. I think they're young. I think the one of the oldest players on the defense, because I looked at the year that all of these guys were drafted, is either 2016 or higher. Right. And they're all second and third round picks, and that's Eli Apple. Eli Apple was a top lottery pick, but a first round draft pick in 2016. All these other guys, Hendrickson, Hubbard, Awuzie, he used to play with Dallas.
I was gonna say Awuzie never stayed healthy. With us. And so they were getting a good player if they could keep him on the field.
All of these guys are 2016 draft pick, 2017, 2018. These dudes are young, and they're hot. Like I told you last night. They're not a lockdown defense per se, but they're a hot defense. I mean, they locked Kansas City down in the second half yesterday.
Yeah, and there were a couple instances, particularly early in the first half, where Mahomes got outside that pocket and made the plays. Not there for him in the second half.
Not at all. It was eerily similar to the first time they played in Week 17.
Yeah.
Except without, not as many offensive fireworks. I mean, because they did a relatively good job on Jamar Chase. He did catch the touchdown. Now, T. Higgins stepped up big time, especially when Uzomah got hurt. But I think what Cincinnati did is something that Buffalo did not do. They made more of a concerted effort to keep Jamar Chase involved in the game, as opposed to Stephon Diggs was totally out of the game.
Right. Yeah, and then, opportunistic first downs. You take away Chase, and those situations you took away Higgins. Mixon made himself available for them little dump ball passes, and I don't know, not just him, but the backup tight end and the third wide receiver right there at the few yards from the sticks, 3 yards, and they fight and get that first down. Perine had the screenplay for a touchdown. Tyler Boyd stepped up. Tyler Boyd was really the only guy he could get early in the game when Kansas City was on fire. But what is that from the Kansas City side? What do you think lost you the game? Mahomes and Andy Reid. Play calling later in the game, which is unlike what Andy Reid would do. But I believe that some of Andy Reid's play calling is based on confidence in Mahomes, and Mahomes coming to the sideline pleading his case. But yeah, that Mahomes, irregardless of that, Mahomes himself, trying to make that play. He's a superstar, and in a lot of situations, man, you throw the ball away or go ahead and take your little run and call it, whatever. But trying to extend those plays in the backfield, eventually somebody gonna catch up to you. And if you're careless with the ball, you're gonna put on turf. So it is what it is.
I think the mistake Kansas City made is they stopped running the ball. They abandoned the run in the second half. Because remember, in the first half, McKinnon was killing them.
Yeah, he was getting like, what,
7 yards a pop.
Yeah.
He had like 60-some yards on only 12 carries. So if you give him another 12, he's probably going to get you about 120, 130 yards. They abandoned the run. I mean, they totally. I don't know what the deal was with that last call in the first half. They got greedy, but that play completely changed the game.
Yep. Yeah, because you're looking at a from Cincinnati's standpoint, I think every team, they just look at it as possessions. They're not looking necessarily at the scoreboard. They're looking at how many possessions do we need to tie this game up, and that falter at the end of the half. But I think that Cincinnati was kind of looking at a couple possessions. We right back in this.
Well, and the crazy thing is that, this is why they should have just took the field goal, because Kansas City got the ball back first in the third quarter. I mean, it's a lot different of a feel if you're being up maybe 24-10 as opposed to being up 21-10, and now they have all the momentum on their side because they stopped you at the end of the first half. Because when Cincinnati scored to make it 21-10, I said, well, there's a minute left. I said, Kansas City gonna walk right back down the damn field to score.
Right.
And when they didn't, I was like, I texted my uncle. I said, that play will loom large. That's exactly what I said to him. Because once Cincinnati's defense got a beat on Mahomes, it was a totally different ball game. It was up to Burrow in that offense. And that their superstar kicker, you'll rarely hear me say something about a superstar kicker. That dude is money.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you actually noticed this at the end of that game, but apparently, Twitterverse noticed it too. Was something wrong with Tony Romo yesterday at the end of that game? Because I don't know what he was talking about. Let him score, and maybe they should just hold off and not score.
Oh, when Kansas City had the ball at the 5 with like 2 minutes to go. Yeah, I didn't agree. I mean, at that point in time, I was thinking maybe, but I just like this. If you hold your ground first and second down, then you have to go for the stop, because I mean they didn't have much time left. But then, I mean, hell, they almost lost the game then when Hubbard knocked the ball out of Mahomes' hands. But I don't know. Tony Romo.
Unless they on the 1 man,
right.
At the 3, you don't let them score. You just don't, because it's been people can't even hit extra points this season.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't, just assume give up the ghost, because anything can happen. You're still trying to take the ball. When you strip the ball, anything can happen.
And you figure you stopped them at the end of the first half.
Right. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. That was questionable to me, but
sometimes you see why Tony Romo wasn't as successful as a quarterback as he is a broadcaster.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one, but it is what it is. Worked out for Cincinnati, so they get to right what they feel is a wrong. Yeah,
and okay, so you called Cincinnati, but you also said San Francisco. The 49ers let you down. Now, give me your take on the NFC Championship game.
You said it. The 49ers, they let my pick down. They ain't let me down, because I frankly could care less whether San Francisco competes in the Super Bowl. However, I tell you what I'm not necessarily a fan of, and this low-key was why I was kind of rooting for the 49ers, because the 49ers, as currently constructed, outside of Garoppolo, they're kind of a homegrown team.
Yes.
And that's the way I respect that. If you build a team and that's competitive, for a long time, and you build that thing from within, build it through the draft, I can respect that. Not a fan of the buying the Super Bowl thing. And
you mean like the Rams are trying to do?
Yeah, like the Rams are trying to do, because sports is a copycat, thing. Every NBA, NFL, they're all copycat leagues. And if you show marginal success in a certain way, you're going to have a bunch of copycatters trying to go the same route. And it's just bad for the game. Overall, it's just bad for the game. So that's why secretly I was rooting for more so for the Rams to lose, not necessarily the 49ers to win. But they did. They Rams left some stuff on the field. 49ers definitely left some stuff on the field that they got to be kicking themselves.
Oh yeah.
Over.
Oh yeah. I mean, because I said earlier in the show, I said the 49ers were up by 10 in the fourth quarter of a championship game. I said, why does that sound so familiar? You know. Oh, right, the Super Bowl, when the same thing happened and they couldn't close the deal.
Yeah.
You know?
My ideal scenario would have been Cincinnati and 49ers, and in Cincinnati, right, they're wrong, and everybody go and shut up because ain't no Bengals fans except for in Cincinnati.
I know one guy. I used to work with him. He's he was one of the guys that trained me when I first started over at Amazon, and he was a Bengal fan, and at a time where he had no reason to claim that. So I said, okay, I mean, because I started in 2019. Burrow wasn't even on the team yet.
Now I'm gonna say this: I smell. I could be wrong. You know, maybe it's a different day with Goodell. You know, versus what was his name? The previous commissioner.
Oh, Tagliabue.
Maybe it's a different day, but I expect whatever officiating crew, to favor the Rams.
You think so?
Yeah. Think Matt Hasselbeck and Sean Alexander and those guys. There's no way the NFL could have let them win because merchandising, it would have been terrible. It would have been terrible. You're not going to sell anything. And, I mean,
but they're starting.
Do you see anybody rushing out to probably go buy Joe Burrow jersey?
Yeah, I could. But they're starting to build this. They're starting to build Burrow up. You know, they're starting to make the Brady comparisons, at least in mannerism. So they may be trying to build this kid up. I don't know.
Maybe that's possible too. You know, that's possible too. But I don't know. We shall see. But just watch for that, because I just from people got to remember, it's a business, and we've seen anybody that looked at that particular Super Bowl, Steelers and Seahawks, you knew the fix was in.
That was the worst officiated Super Bowl I ever saw, ever, because Seattle was clearly the better team.
Going away.
Seattle was clearly the better team.
Yep.
And yeah. I mean, hey, Seattle righted their wrong against us. You know, I mean,
this is true.
You know, I mean, think about all the money that was in Peyton Manning.
Had marketability, and that's the difference. Same Seattle, but different era and different market level of marketability. You had the quote unquote a golden boy in Russ, and then Legion of Boom name, and then Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Mike Holmgren was pretty established too at the time, but I understand what you're saying. The Legion of Boom was definitely more marketable than Sean Alexander, Matt Hasselbeck, and you know, those in that crew, Daryl Jackson. You know, so
exactly.
Yeah. So no, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, I think this is going to be a great game, and I hope it's no shady officiating, because this game, I believe, could create a lot of fireworks from the offensive side. Only thing I'm worried about, and I said this last night when you called, Cincinnati. Now, they did a relatively good job for the most part. Burrow, I'm sure you've watched highlights against Cincinnati. Burrow had to make a couple plays with his legs. He had to shrug off a couple of sacks. But now that line is dealing with Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. That's the only thing I'm worried about with him. Because I said this a couple weeks ago. I said, I don't give a damn if the Bengals win the Super Bowl. You have to do something with that offensive line. Well, damn it if you don't have your hands full in 2 weeks.
I mean, we'll see, but what I will say about those names that you just ran off, for the most part, Donald, they're doubling, tripling team, and that's commonplace. But other than that, they've been kind of underwhelming. And just in general, they've been underwhelming. So I don't know if
Von Miller has recorded sacks in each of the last 7 games.
Underwhelming. Getting a coverage sack, which they're prone to getting a coverage sack versus the general pressure that Von Miller, as a younger man, would produce, is a little bit different. It's a little bit different, and some of that, I mean, when they made that trade, you know, said everybody should feast because of the presence of Aaron Donald. Well, Von Miller is left one-on-one, you know, generally against these people. He still will make a play here or there, but I just don't think them dudes are as stout as people think.
Well, it was Aaron Donald and Von Miller that was riding Garoppolo's back when he threw that shovel pass interception.
Yeah. This is true, but what caused that? Aaron Donald.
Well, I think.
And Garoppolo holding.
Oh yeah, well he held the ball well too long.
But holding. You know, he could have thrown the ball away, but he didn't.
Well, I understand. I mean, I understand that it was third down and long, but he should have just ate that one because it would have been like 4th and 25, but still anything could happen. You know, he should have ate that
thrown
one.
It away. He was running backwards and he was outside of the pocket. He should have just thrown it away.
Yeah, but I don't know. I could see my man Von Miller having a huge game, making a case for his second Super Bowl MVP. I could see this happening now. He's a big game. He's a big game player. He had the strip sack. He had the strip sack on Brady last week.
Yesterday, but that quick dump off right there in the middle was there all day for them.
Oh yeah.
So we shall see. I don't think it's going to come down to their D-line Ramsey. I think it's going to come down to the linebackers and that secondary. They're going to put
Ramsey on Chase. I love that matchup. I
think Jamar can win that.
I do too.
Win that.
I love that matchup. But again, you don't know what the status of Uzomah is. He said that it's a sprained MCL and hopefully he'll be able to play. We'll see. But you still got to deal with T. Higgins. You still got to deal with Tyler Boyd. That's what I'm saying. Like, they are loaded and they are young. Like this, like I said, I can't wait because on the Rams side, I'm so happy Odell Beckham played like a superstar yesterday. Because I get so sick and tired of hearing people trying to throw shade on him about he's lost a step, blah, 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 blah. Clearly, you can see now, Cleveland was in the wrong with the way they dealt with him.
Can you really, though? Because,
yes.
And I'll say that to say this. If you ask Odell Beckham right now, you and I, if you call him, go ahead, call him up, get him on three-way. Are you a number one receiver? He's going to say, yeah. I'm going to say, brother, you're playing with Cooper Kupp. You're playing with the threat. He's the real threat.
Yeah, I think he's in a perfect position.
What you got to do is win your one-on-one matchup.
Yeah.
And that. I mean, a second or third wide receiver can do that. So playing your statement of him playing like a superstar, I disagree. He's doing his job.
I'm talking about his numbers yesterday, and I'm doing that as a comparative contrast as when I say clearly Cleveland was wrong with the way they handled him. Not what I'm saying is their what's the word I'm looking for? Their willingness to get him involved in the weekly game plan. Like I gave the example of how Kansas City did an okay job on Chase, but Cincinnati made the effort to keep him involved in the game, unlike what Buffalo did with Stephon Diggs. The Rams, even though Odell's numbers aren't great, there's not that of a number one wide receiver until yesterday. I think he's in a perfect spot because they make conscious efforts to involve him in the game, and Cleveland didn't do that.
Well, McVay is one of them dudes. You ain't on the offensive side of the ball. If you on the field, you're gonna be doing something. You got to produce something, otherwise you're not on the field. Right. So you're gonna see the fullback. You're gonna see the everything. When he's calling the plays. So Well, for all intents and purposes, because I heard Greg Olsen this morning, he said that Odell Beckham talked to him before the game. And he said he can't wait. He said he loves it there. And he said, just wait. He said he believes next year is going to be the best season of his career, which leads me to obviously believe that he's going to re-sign for less money to stay with the Rams. What do you do with Robert Woods once he gets back? I don't know, because they're going to be totally deep at receiver. Because, Cooper Kupp, Odell, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson. But I think he's in a perfect spot. He don't need to be nobody's definitive number one receiver anymore. I think he is in a perfect spot. Let Cooper Kupp get the attention. And Cooper Kupp's a bad boy. Because even despite all the attention that he get, he's still giving you 11 for $130. Yeah. On the regular. This dude he's a bad boy. But I think Odell is in a perfect spot. And the thing with Kupp, and I think it's the way they use him. Because certain wide receivers, they have the same physical, capabilities, but the offenses, I don't know. Some of these offense scores, and I think they overthink or underthink or whatever, and they don't utilize these dudes the right way. again, this is no slight to Cooper Kupp, but just in general, if you look at that 49ers game, Ayuk was invisible for the most part.
For the most part, he had a good catch early in the game, but yeah, for the most part, because the two All-Pros are the ones that scored a touchdown. Debo and Kittle. Kittle was really invisible, except with the exception of that touchdown pass. He only had two catches, 27 yards.
He might have had a touchdown, but Jimmy overthrew him. Early on in the game, he overthrew him wide open.
Yeah.
One-on-one against a cornerback, you take them odds all the time because that dude likely is not going to bring Kittle down.
Yeah.
If he caught him, he was going to bring him down, but it is what it is. Part of the game.
Yes, it is. Definitely part of the game. But the 49ers, they had him. They had him on the ropes. And
they let him off the hook.
And that's right. That's right, Coach Green. They let him off the hook because they had him dead to rights. And now Matthew Stafford looks like a hero. Odell looks reinvented. McVay looks like a genius. But to me, the job ain't done. They can't just get to the Super Bowl. What Matthew Stafford has done for me is he's equaled Jared Goff. And I heard somebody say, well, do you think Jared Goff comes back and wins that game? And, I was like, no, of course not. Well, actually, when they played New Orleans in the championship game a couple years ago, he did just that. He did the same thing.
Right.
So, to me, you have to win the Super Bowl in order for the trade to be a success. You can't, because like I said, Goff took you to the Super Bowl. He's a number 1 overall pick, just like Matthew Stafford was. So, to me, the job ain't done. Everybody giving Matthew Stafford their flowers, okay, that's fine. I never gave him the excuse of, well, he only went to 3 playoff appearances, but it was in Detroit, so we'll give him a pass. I know, because look at Joe Burrow. If you are that dude and you come to a losing franchise, you can turn it around. Look at Burrow.
Right.
So
it's hard to assess that. Even if Stafford wins, it's still kind of hard to assess that because Stafford has a clear upgrade. With the same Rams roster, maybe he has a clear upgrade. So that question was still that could Goff have done the same thing? Maybe yeah.
Well, see, that's tough.
One shot, but the funny thing is that one shot was further than Stafford's ever been.
Well, right. Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, but when you say a clear upgrade, maybe as an individual talent, but as far as the team around him, I can't sit here and say that it was a full upgrade because when they lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots, Cooper Kupp, he didn't play. He had torn his ACL during the season.
And not the same guy, even before he tore his ACL.
Right, but at the same time, Todd Gurley was maybe the best running back in football. You did have him. You didn't have Odell Beckham, but you did have Brandon Cooks. And as quiet as it's kept, Brandon Cooks is one of the better wide receivers in football. He's constantly getting traded, but every team he goes to, he's putting up 1,200 yards every year after year after year. So, and I don't know if I can say that the Rams run game this year is better than it was in 2018. Receivers, yes, because you have Odell. If it was still Deshaun Jackson and Robert Wood gets hurt, then probably not so much. So to me it's damn near the same. If anything, to me, the upgrade to the Rams is probably on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
Because instead of having Dante Fowler, you got Von Miller. And instead of Aqib Talib, you got Jalen Ramsey in his prime.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we shall see. We shall see. I viewed it as a kind of a lateral move then, but, I said maybe if they find themselves in that situation, 3-point game under 2 minutes, maybe Stafford provides that veteran thing that Goff didn't provide, but that literally was it.
Well, I guarantee you this: the Rams will score a touchdown in this Super Bowl. I put money on that.
Hey, I think it's going to be one of them 30-something to 30-something.
And you know what's crazy is that I hope you're right, but whenever we think that never is the case, because everybody thought that the Chiefs and the Bengals was going to be a high 30 shootout. because of what you saw in Week 17. And, well, the Rams and the 49ers, that game went exactly how I thought it was going to go. It did. That game went exactly how I thought it was going to go. But I hope you're right. I hope it is a high 30s shootout. I do. I really do.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till the halftime show, God damn it.
We shall see. This playoffs has been interesting.
Outside of wild card weekend, all the games have been down to the wire, with the exception of wild card weekend.
Yeah.
The only close game in wild card weekend was the 49ers and Cowboys. Everything else was a blowout. But ever since then, every game has been down to the wire, if not overtime.
Yeah. This is I can't honestly say that I've ever seen anything like this.
Well, this is the lowest seeded Super Bowl in history. You have the 2-4 seeds from each conference.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know that the NFL changed much by that 7th team. I don't know if it made all that difference.
Well, you got 2 extra football games, and you got 2 extra games worth of football money.
Right. Well, that's about all, because as you said, the games of that weekend were blowouts, so that adding that extra team didn't really make it more competitive.
Yeah, because the Steelers and the Eagles got annihilated.
Yeah. All the Pennsylvania morning.
Yeah. I mean, eventually one year, you're going to have a 7 seed knock off a 2 seed. It's going to happen eventually. You know, it's going to happen. But, I mean, this year, it just, the games weren't close.
Right.
That's just it. They weren't close. Now, let's talk about this head coaching thing, as far as the lack of black minority head coaches in the NFL. Give me your opinion on that.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Teams do their due diligence, Rooney Rule thing, but I don't think most of these guys are in serious consideration. I would say, maybe, like in the case of the enemy,
he took a hit yesterday.
One could make an argument that guy is not head coach material, not head coach ready. You can make that argument, but then Flores was a head coach and was deposed for no particular reason. And I don't know, man. I don't know. There's only, to be honest, there's only a handful of guys anyway. And if you're starting up a team outside of Flores, who's already been that head coach, who do you grab? Who do you grab?
Well, Leslie Frazier took a hit because of the way Buffalo's defense performed at the end of that game, 13 seconds. Leslie Frazier took a hit because they were talking about him. The enemy took a hit yesterday, 3 points in the second half. I would like to see Byron Leftwich go to Jacksonville. I think because
I thought he committed to that.
He hasn't been hired yet. Because I'm thinking about the growth and development of Trevor Lawrence, because they interviewed Dan Quinn for Jacksonville too now. But I'm thinking about that's why I don't understand the Chicago Bears hiring one bit. They hired a defensive guy when you clearly, unless their coordinator turns out to be a stud, which means he ain't gonna be a coordinator but for so damn long anyway. Especially if he's white. Not even trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't understand the Bears hiring at all. I don't understand the New York Giants hiring at all. The only reason why I understand us, the Broncos, hiring Nathaniel Hackett is because you think you have an inside track to get Aaron Rodgers. And if we don't get Aaron Rodgers, then that hiring won't make no damn sense to me either. Other than the fact that I said we need an offensive coach because our last 2 coaches have been defensive coaches and it's gotten us nowhere. But this is what outside
of Leftwich, I honestly, if I were GM, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I do my due diligence, but I probably wouldn't. I think Leftwich is the only guy.
Well, you know, Flores is going to get hired by somebody.
You know, I mean, well, I'm talking about. That's why I say with the exception.
Oh, with the exception of Flores, okay.
Yeah, count him out because the fact that he's out there is inexplicable. So, you know, that's,
yeah, it is.
Again, he's already been the coach. He's
Well,
already been a head coach.
Well, see, here's the thing that makes people angry. Think about D'Amico Ryan, right? Even though San Francisco lost yesterday, D'Amico Ryan turned out to be a hell of a defensive coach. But I heard somebody say, well, no, we need to see more from him. But Brandon Staley was the defensive coordinator for the Rams for 1 year, 1 season, and then gets the job for the Chargers. But you need to see more from D'Amico Ryan. Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows how these teams hire, you know, just in general, what their interview process is. That's kind of close to home, so they got to see him up close and personal, you know, for the most part being in state. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know what criteria these teams are actually looking for. I wouldn't necessarily say they're looking for a white guy, but I don't know what criteria they're looking for.
Well, this is what I honestly think. I think it's clear these old billionaires are they're showing you that you're not going to tell them what to do with their money.
It could be that.
Because
that could be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, because when the Rooney Rule was introduced in 2003, it was like 3 or 4 black head coaches. Then now, literally, we have 1 black head coach, and he's an all-time great. You have to be an all-time great to be the only black head coach standing right now in the NFL.
Well, again, to be honest, though, now some of those guys that did get hired or that are still in consideration, I wouldn't hire them either. They white guys. I wouldn't hire them either.
Well, like I said, I hope Leftwich now, particularly with Brady retiring, I hope Leftwich does take the job at Jacksonville. Because like I said, I'm thinking of the development of Trevor Lawrence. And Leftwich is good, man. He's good, and he played for them. You know, and he's still young.
Right.
So I would definitely like to see that. I would like to see Leftwich. So hopefully, you know, Shad Khan doesn't, you know, do nothing stupid like with the Raiders hiring Josh McDaniels.
I think in case of the enemy, part his personal life and part I think some view him as a product of Andy Reid's appendage. If you remove the Andy Reid dynamic, he might not be quite as effective. But mostly, I think it's his personal life that's killing him with the coaching stuff.
What's up with his personal life?
Some domestic stuff.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Yeah, but I mean, it's real though. I mean, here we go. But it absolutely is real, and it's not a player; it's a coach. So,
well, they tried to do the same thing with.
I think that again, that Jackson, his stuff actually occurred before all the Urban Meyer even being a coach. But that's a microcosm of why you don't hire a coach that got baggage.
Well, remember Portland tried to do. I mean, all that stuff came out about Chauncey Billups after he got the job at Portland.
It's true, but how many teams were beating down the door for Chauncey? Not a lot.
Yeah, you're right. But what I'm saying is, like, I mean, goodness gracious, he got the job now. You want to throw? They tried to do the same thing with Jason Kidd before he got the job at Dallas, even though Jason Kidd had already been a head coach. But I'm like,
they vet these dudes, and they know them dudes got issues, but they figure it's in the rearview mirror, and only until some up and coming beat writer digs it out because the Trailblazers is struggling, and now you want to pile on, so that they pull it out the woodwork.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, like I said, to me, the main thing is that they're asking all of these questions and everybody's outraged. You're not gonna sit here. These billionaires are letting you know that you're not going to tell them what to do with their money. And I honestly, I think that's really the beginning and the end of it. We can fuss and bitch about it all we want. Like you said, as much as things change, the more they can stay the same. And
millionaire, thousandaire, I feel the same way. I mean, if it's my team, I'm going to hire who I want to hire. I'm going to hire who I want to hire, whether he be black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. I'm going to hire who I want to hire based on what I feel this dude can make my team successful. Now, I think that Rooney Rule, I think it's disingenuous. I think the fact that you got to bring minority in to interview him, even if this is not your guy. And you know it's not your guy, but you got to satisfy this dumb rule that the NFL put in place. That is them telling you got to do this, that, and the other with your money.
The Rooney Rule is the NFL's version of affirmative action.
There's a lot of racist owners out there. We know this, so I'm not defending that. But at the same time, it made no sense from the gate. It literally made no sense. And to me, it was created to placate us. Like you said, affirmative action. But the difference with affirmative action says you must hire. The Rooney Rule says you just got to interview.
I know. That's why I said it's a version of it. No, I know.
Right. And so that it was put in place to placate us because you had the soapbox ministers out sharpening this, that, and the other saying, how come black coaching candidates aren't considered?
What did you call him?
Oh, you talking about the soapbox ministers? Oh, yeah.
Not a fan of
back in the day. I mean,
not a fan of Minister Sharpton.
All them black preachers standing in Harlem, standing on soapboxes, preaching, civil rights this, civil rights that. That's what they did.
Are we not a fan of Mr. Sharpton?
No, I'm not a fan of Mr. Sharpton. Nah, maybe a long time ago, but no, not a fan of Mr. Sharpton.
Yeah, he does look like Bookman from Good Times, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But yeah, it's disingenuous. So I don't, in terms of that, like, I don't care. I don't care what these owners. It's their money. It's their money. It's, in a lot of cases, it's their stadium. It's their team. They can hire who they want to hire. But that comes with consequences. The good and the bad. Your team sucks because you hire a white guy and overlook maybe a more qualified black guy. Hey, it's your money down the drain.
Yeah.
No success down the drain. So that's how I look at it. I would do the same thing is what I'm saying. If I had billions, I would hire whoever I wanted to hire, whether it made, people get that warm, fuzzy feeling or not. Well, you a brother. How come you didn't hire a brother? Man, because there wasn't no dudes out there qualified that I wanted for my team. That is what that is. What I'm going to do, just bring in a brother and tell him, okay, now run the team or the offense the way I think you should? No. So it is what it is.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, that's going to be a hot topic.
Same chance if it was a black guy and a white guy, and they both, I watched them as coordinators. They both offensive coordinators. They both had success. Yeah, then you might deep down in my office where nobody could hear. I say, yo, bring brother in first. But if that's not the case, then no.
Well, okay, and I understand. I understand. I think some of it is ridiculous, but at the same time, like you said, if it's your team, you're gonna hire who the hell you want. no matter the gender, or no matter the race, you're gonna hire who you want. But I know we never talk about baseball, but let me ask you. Let me just pick your brain on something. What do you think Barry Bonds and Clement should be in the Hall of Fame?
I just had this discussion with somebody about that, and my answer to that is yes. Why? My answer to that has always been yes. Just like, here's my thing with Barry Bonds and people like that. Pete Rose. Baseball has never unequivocally proven that this man shaved points, anything involving the Philadelphia Phillies. He bet on them. But as he said, I never threw a game or anything and bet. I bet that we were going to win, which is fair. Now, that's the unforgivable sin in baseball, supposedly, gambling. But yeah, Ty Cobb and some of these races, clear, the moral turpitude was in question in baseball for the longest time. And a lot of them Hall of Famers, their moral turpitude is in question. But yet they're in there. What you did on the field is what's important. Barry Bonds had a Hall of Fame career prior to any steroids going into his body.
Absolutely.
He only did that, in my opinion, when the whole Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa thing became a thing.
Yeah.
And he felt like he was being, marginalized. And then, I feel like he started pumping them steroids. But prior to that, Barry Bonds was already Hall of Fame material.
Yep.
So, that being said, absolutely he should be in there. Just like Schilling or anybody else, he should be in there, regardless of the things we disagree with in terms of moral turpitude, because the standard's already been set. Y'all let scumbags in the Hall of Fame, so why not put other transgressors in there?
And here's my thing with baseball, and this is why I really shied away from baseball, because I was heavy into baseball for a time period. And a lot of it was because, my dad loved him some New York Yankees, and, we would have conversations like this, and I just wanted to be able to keep up. But one of the things that has really disappointed me with baseball is I would hear all the time about protect the integrity of the game. Baseball has no integrity. And I tell you why. Because, for one, you're going to keep to me, Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player ever. Ever. And you're keeping him out. You're keeping Roger Clemens out. You're keeping Curt Schilling out. But you just let David Ortiz in? And Mike Piazza's in? Jeff Bagwell is in? They took steroids. And not only that, baseball has pretty much claimed plausible deniability on their knowledge of steroids. They knew that those players were juicing. And why? And they turned a blind eye. Why? Because baseball had took such a hit from the strike in '94 that their popularity was on the serious decline. And when the McGwire-Sosa home run race of '98 happened, it put baseball back on the map in terms of popularity. Remember the commercial, Chicks Dig the Long Ball? And so they knew. And then a couple years later, Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs. They're literally interrupting regularly scheduled programs so you can see Barry Bonds at bat. You think baseball didn't know that these players were juicing? They didn't care because they were too busy counting the millions and the millions and the billions. And then you talk about the integrity of the game. You talk about the integrity of the game, but you let the Houston Astros off the hook when you caught them cold as ice cheating?
But like I said, it's always been questionable in terms of the Hall of Fame. Why stop now?
Yeah. That's why baseball is full of shit. I love my New York Yankees. I always will. But baseball as an organization, the commissioner, Manfred, he's full of shit. You got Pete Rose on a lifetime ban, but you got dudes who got you caught cold cheating, who are now back in the league. They cheated to win a championship. And you don't even rescind that championship, and they did it.
That was their problem with Pete Rose. The problem with Pete Rose is, you got caught gambling, and you gambled on the Phillies too, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but show me on the field where Pete Rose took a play off.
Right.
So, as he said, I only bet for us to win. Okay, that doesn't challenge the integrity of the game.
No, it doesn't.
He's going out there and playing like he's paid to play every single game, playing hard. That does not change anything, other than he went a little extra money.
And it's all about, and to me, it's all about who like you. The media has never liked Barry Bonds, but how much you want to bet now that Alex Rodriguez gets in the Hall of Fame? Why? He's a member of the media now. I guarantee you A-Rod gets in the Hall of Fame. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But if you're talking about players who juiced, and A-Rod had the longest suspension in history, I bet you now, because he is a part of the media, he will get in. Just like we all know T.O. should have been the first ballot wide receiver Hall of Famer, but he wasn't, because the people who voted for him didn't like him. Mind you, Randy Moss, their stats are pretty much identical, but Randy Moss is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not saying that I believe he should have been, but he gets in because why? He's part of the media now. It's all about who like you too. Because if Barry Bonds was a media darling, even with the notion of steroids, I guarantee you he would be in because he's the greatest player ever.
Yeah. I think in the case of T.O., play on the field, first ballot Hall of Famer, because people don't like him, that may play a part, but I think T.O. is part of his own demise when it comes to that.
But it's supposed to be for play on the field.
What we're going to consider, and we may legitimately, I'm not coming. Well, why would you say that? Like, you want to be in the Hall of Fame, but you're not going to come and participate in ceremonies or anything.
T.O.'s one of them dudes where he is petty as all get up. If he had, I love T.O., but he appears to be a person where if you cross him, he will never forgive you.
Man, sometimes you ain't got to cross T.O. T.O. creates a slight.
But if we're talking about on the play field,
you did this, and it's imaginary in his own mind, because that crap, he pulled that crap in Philly. He pulled that crap in Dallas with the Romo and Witten thing. Everybody in the world, who's Romo's favorite target? Jason Witten. Like, everybody knew this, but all of a sudden it's racist because he's throwing the Witten and not you, T.O., when you double covered or triple covered. So, sometimes he was it was his
I'm not saying that he wasn't a malcontent, but if you're talking about play on the field, if that's the Hall of Fame is supposed to be based on what you did on the field to play, of course he was first ballot. Of course Moss was first ballot. But again now, because remember, Randy Moss had his issues too. I play when I want to.
But tell me in NFL history, what inductee to the Hall of Fame said, I ain't participating. I'm not. That's groundbreaking. Exactly. So that you leave him right.
That's groundbreaking.
Until you decide you want to be gracious. You did what you did on the field, but they view it as being in the Hall of Fame is a privilege, not a right. So be gracious. Be yourself. Come accept your award. Give your speech. Say what you're gonna say, but you got to play by book.
That's
the reason why that same thing is why you got bounced from team to team to team throughout your great Hall of Fame career, because you were a malcontent. You never showed any graciousness.
Well, that's fair, but I think we'll both agree as far as production. Now T.O. of course is now in the Hall of Fame, but Barry Bonds should be in the Hall. That's no question. And the fact that this was his last, this was his last year of eligibility for the Hall of Fame, I think that's a joke.
Hall of Fame, Barry should be in there.
Yeah.
So should Pete Rose.
That's a joke. That really is. That's a joke.
And whatever politics you disagree with in terms of Kurt Schilling, play on the field. That's all that really matters in terms of baseball.
That's all it's supposed to matter in any Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but NFL does have that pattern of the gracious. No one's ever done that, and so the last thing they're going to do is set that precedent with somebody like Terrell Owens. No.
Well, and it's fun. It's fun.
T.O. need to shut. Everyone said it. He need to just shut up, go off in the distance, and let people forget about you and stop saying and you'll get in. They can't not put you in. But if you just keep going on incendiary stuff, then yeah.
T.O. still trying to play now, T.O.'s still trying to play.
T.O. a nutcase. He's a nutcase. The play is undeniable, but
yeah, man.
There's two different kinds of nutcases in the NFL. There's the T.O., but then there's the Lawrence Taylor. And the Lawrence Taylor is a dude that he going to fight for your team. He going to leave it out on the field for your team. And if you ain't giving it, he'll see you in the locker room, and that's it. Nothing else. Yeah, he might snort a little coke and get some hookers on the side, that type stuff. But just in general, he's a guy that can be depended on, and he never became a cancer. All of that stuff he had going on, he never became a cancer to his team.
Well,
Randy Moss arguably did not become a cancer to any team he played for. The Minnesota situation with Randy Moss, that's a little different. I don't know that he was being toxic More so, he was responding to backlash and probably should have just kept his mouth shut.
Oh, this his second go round in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That only lasted a couple weeks.
Would label a cancer to a team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, he had his issues with the Raiders too. That's when he said, "I play what I want." I mean, that's why everybody remember when Randy Moss went to New England. Everybody thought it was done. Everybody thought he was washed.
Mm-mm. No. But the fact of the matter is, even when Randy Moss said that with the Raiders, did anybody really believe that? No, because he's one of them guys. He goes too big. He don't go out there and get zero in the box score and get zero. But, you know, the way they were coming out, Randy Moss takes plays off. Well, maybe he did. But the fact of the matter is, by the end of the game, the box score usually was filled up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely.
I don't think no player goes hard every single play.
Well, one thing I will say about T.O. is that he did leave it on the field. I mean, he played hard. T.O. played angry.
Took plays off. T.O. took plays off.
You think he took plays off?
In the playoffs versus the Giants, T.O. took plays off, bro. He took plays off.
Now, it's funny that you mentioned that game, and it's funny about T.O. because I wanted to ask you, what do you think about Jeff Garcia, the comment that he made?
I don't know what to make. I think that some of these dudes are just bored, got time on their hands, and because I'm sure nobody sought out Jeff Garcia and say, "Hey, what do you think? We want to get you on record." So he just volunteered what was in his brain. He's entitled to that. A little misguided, but he's entitled to that.
Yeah. I know he's riding for his team's quarterback, but I mean, that's, I guess, of all the people, if he had came at other people outside of just, the only person he came for was a woman. That's why I look sexist, because he could have said the same thing about Stephen A. Smith or anybody who has thrown salt on Jimmy Garoppolo's name, but he only chose Mina Kimes to come after. That's why everybody look at him like, wow, really? Wow. Because he could have came at anybody. And people like Stephen A. Smith were never in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Skip Bayless was never in a.
I defend Jeff Garcia in this respect. Man, woman, women forever have fought to be able to do the same things that men do. We want equal rights. So, well, this is equal rights. Because you're a woman, should he skip over you? He picked you. People can say he's hard, and that's the funny thing. Anytime some criticism comes and it's directed toward a female, oh, you only did that because it's a woman, or the criticism is directed at you because you're a woman. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe you're just a media person.
Maybe.
And that's just it, and again, maybe he was asked specifically, and that was the response. So I don't know. I do feel like if you're going to step into that fray, then you're going to get it, specifically that one. If I was an athlete, you're going to get, if I got something on my chest and you say something left field or whatever that I disagree with, then I'm going to come for you the same way I would come for Stephen A. or, Max Kellerman or especially Colin Cowherd. I'm coming for you. It don't really matter what you are, male or female.
Right.
Put down the mic and retire. If you don't want it, you don't want this smoke, put down the mic and retire.
Right. That's true. Well, quick, just give me some quick info on the NBA before we say our goodbyes.
Trade deadline is looming, coming up. We're going to see if some moves going to be made. Everything involving your LA Lakers seems to be whatever it is, that 2027 pick is coming with it. Otherwise, it ain't happening. Anything involving Westbrook's name, if it ain't got that pick attached to it, it just is not happening.
Remember last week I said I'm not blaming Russell Westbrook anymore because you have 13 years of footage on the type of player that he is. So, I mean, I said this at the beginning of the season when we first were talking about the teams. I said this reeks of 2018, LeBron's last year in Cleveland, when at the beginning of the season they went out and got all of these names. They got all these names, and they were pretty much a 500 team. And once the trade deadline came, all of those one-year contracts, including Dwayne Wade, they were out of there.
Right.
I don't know who is going. I think that's going to happen, but I don't know who's going to take Westbrook's contract. I mean, I just don't know. And are you going to trade Carmelo? Are you going to trade? Because there is the players that I don't think that they'll trade. I don't think they'll trade Malik Monk. I don't think they'll trade him. Obviously, you're not trading LeBron or AD. I don't think they're going to be able to find a dance partner for Russell Westbrook's contract. Melo is up in the air. Honestly, if Carmelo is up in the air, I think Dwight Howard is up in the air. Ariza up in the air. Kendrick Nunn, he ain't played at all this season. I mean, but I don't know. Up in the air. They already got rid of Rondo.
Nunn being hurt.
Say what?
Because I said that hurts the trade market for y'all. Nunn being hurt because some package involving him with THT or Westbrook, you might be able to push back and keep that pick, but being as though he's hurt, no.
Well, and THC's another one. I think they're trying to trade him now. Because remember, the Lakers wouldn't let him go for nothing, a couple of years ago. But, I mean, I guess his play has regressed, and he's now expendable. And I think he'll probably be traded.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably some subtle moves that'll be made. I don't think anything big. I don't think like the Bradley Beal or anybody like that will be moved. And I'm not sure what Washington is trying to do. Do they feel like they're a playing team, or are they going to become sellers? Don't know what Portland's going to do because Lillard being hurt.
And he said that he's not rushing at all to get back.
You don't know. You don't want to sell too much and then he vote from your team next year because you done sold all the pieces. I don't know.
Same thing with Ben Simmons. I have no problem with the way that Daryl Morey is handling this situation because while I'm a Ben Simmons fan, he comes across to me as being soft as shit.
They said no to Hield, Harrison Barnes, Bagley, and I think it was a pick or a couple picks, and they said no to Sacramento claimed that they walked away from the deal, but it seems more likely that Philly walked away from that deal, which I don't necessarily blame them. I think some of that trade is actually redundant in terms of Philly's roster. Philly also said, we'll give you, we'll do Simmons for that package, but you have to take Tobias Harris. That's where Sacramento said,
Well, and Philadelphia started to smoke too. They're playing some good basketball right now.
Yeah,
they are. Oh, what do you think about the All-Star starters?
You ask, I'm biased. I'm biased because I think Zach LaVine should be a starter.
You think he should be a starter with DeRozan?
Yeah, I think he should be a starter over Trae Young.
I actually have heard a lot of people lobbying for Darius Garland over Trae Young.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is.
I'm happy for Wiggins though, man. That totally came out of left field. I'm happy for Wiggins. Because while I heard a lot of people always throwing salt on Andrew Wiggins' name for his game, Andrew Wiggins is three different times in his career he's averaged over 20 points. I mean,
with a grain of salt, what roster is he on?
I get it.
Okay.
I understand, but I'm happy for him though. I am. I mean, he's on a hell of a roster now, and he's probably their third best player. Starting in an All-Star game. I mean, Klay still has to get his legs back under him, but I mean, I watched that game against Brooklyn the other night. But I'm happy for Wiggins though, man. I am. I think I don't think Golden State's gonna let him more. I don't think they're gonna trade him. I think he's gonna be there. I think he's gonna be, because he's only 26 years old. Been in the league for 8 years. He's only 26.
Yes, but here's the thing with Golden State, and I said this before. They in the land of gold, California, but it is to some degree fool's gold. And I say that because from a business standpoint, they can't be making money. They can't be making money. Even you can't. You're so deep into luxury tax, you're just gonna luxury tax. That repeated tax, just gonna keep paying it. Eventually, the devil is gonna come calling. You just can't keep paying to keep everybody. But I mean, fans are happy.
Yeah.
Their fans are happy, but I think that a lot of teams, if you just look around the league and the bigger market teams, I understand maybe not the Hornets or something like that, but if you look at the bigger, the New Yorks, the Chicagos, the Lakers, the Clippers, all these bigger market teams, if they had that same philosophy that we just gonna stay in the red, but we gonna fill the championship team every year, you'd have no parity. And that's why it's bad for the league. That's why them keeping a Wiggins is bad for the league.
Well, that's damn sure what the NFL's Rams do. They stay in the red because they throw caution out the window if they think they can win that said season.
But the salary cap still exists, and there is no luxury tax, repeater tax, or anything like that in the NFL that allows you to go beyond that salary cap and stay there, as long as you're willing to eat it. The NBA needs to take a page of that and apply that because parity is the whole thing. We saw this season more than anything was the most competitive season we've ever seen in that sport.
Oh, in football?
Talent disbursement, right.
Yeah.
Talent disbursement was real. Every last one of them teams that made the playoffs had rosters.
Absolutely.
Pieces that you could look at and say, this could, if it ain't championship material now, I could see it being maybe in a few years.
Yep.
Potentially. So the NBA needs that same thing because they're gonna have the similar thing. They're gonna have playing teams just like the NFL did, but maybe the 5, 6, and that is gonna be trash. And everything, and nobody else has a chance. Like, not even from a free agent standpoint, nobody else has a chance because luxury tax. Hey, you can just go over the salary cap, and it's just terrible. It's terrible. They need to put the franchise tag also in the NBA.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, brother,
these young guys will come out and stop using again the Pelicans as a platform to move on to New York or wherever,
Oh yeah, Zion. But all right, well, brother, I'm gonna get ready to prep my kids' food. But hey, man, let's make
before we go on totally unrelated. I always got one on your affirmative action concept being implemented. So the Republicans are crying and bitching and moaning, saying Joe Biden's committing to picking a black woman as the next Supreme Court justice is a perfect example of affirmative action at work.
Oh Lord!
Now, let's not forget, I'm old enough to remember one Ronald Reagan committing to picking a woman.
Yep.
One Donald Trump committing to and pushing Amy Coney Barrett through, and even went so far as to say because the Republicans claim it politicizes the Supreme Court pick. Well, Donald Trump said he's picking Amy Coney Barrett because she would vote to repeal Roe versus Wade, abortion rights. She would try to, that's her main thing, and that's why he's promoting her. Plus, she's a woman. If that's not a political appointee, then you tell me what is.
Yeah, right.
So my argument to those Republicans that say this is a perfect case of affirmative action and at work, and well, Joe Biden countered and said, no, I'm picking her because I want the Supreme Court, and I feel like the Supreme Court should be more diversified to reflect the makeup of the nation. My argument to those Republicans, are you saying he shouldn't pick a black woman? Is that what you're trying to imply? That it's a bad thing picking a black woman because he committed to picking a black woman? Period.
It's good question.
I don't understand what you're railing against Republicans in terms of that. Is it the fact this woman? Well, it can't be, because there have been women on the Supreme Court. So it has to be, your issue has to be he's committing to pick a black woman no matter what.
Yeah.
And you're making the argument that he shouldn't pick a black woman no matter what. That's the only way to interpret it. That literally is, but we're dealing with a group of people that frankly are scumbags. And I'm glad your boy said what he said last night. Trump.
Oh, what your boy say?
The two things he said, actually. One, he said the day before, and then last night he followed it up. So the day before, he said if he would have become president, he would pardon all the insurrectionists.
Oh, my Lord.
Because they've been treated very unfairly and blah, blah, blah. And he spoke on the racist prosecutors that are commencing with a witch hunt against him. And if he falls victim to their witch hunt, it should be strong protest in the street.
Oh, Lord.
Now, let me point out, every prosecutor that currently is investigating Donald Trump is black.
Here he goes again.
Whether it's New York or Georgia, it doesn't matter. They're all black.
You better stop trying to incite these damn riots.
So the Georgia Attorney General has requested the FBI protection because of his statement. And then he followed up last night by saying that Mike Pence should have overturned the election. He had the power. He should have overturned the election. Now, that part, I'm glad that he said. It's in his voice. That's basically admission to what the January 6th committee is trying to prove anyway. And the sister in Georgia, the racist attorney general in Georgia that got the grand jury convened a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. Because he said that, now your intent is known. So taking that shit to court, there's not going to be a question. Your lawyers are going to come in. His lawyers are probably going to come in there and try to argue that wasn't the intent of that phone call to Georgia, to Raffensperger, find me 11,000 votes. But the fact that you said that your whole thought process was trying to overturn the election. You expected Mike Pence to do it. You made a phone call to Georgia. You wanted them to do it. You had the attorney general at the time resign, B.J. Park, because he refused to do it. Yeah, and none of that is civil. None of that she's investigating, just like South Ants up in Manhattan, that's not civil. All that's criminal.
I was going to say, yeah, that got to be criminal.
Yeah, it's criminal. And the fact that they gave I told my wife this, I said, the fact that they convened that grand jury, you have to show a preponderance of evidence to even get a grand jury. The fact that they went ahead and convened it showed that there was enough there that they felt, yeah, she can get them subpoenas for all the people, including Donald Trump. So it'll be interesting to see. That's not something that the Supreme Court can save him from. That's a state thing. That's not federal or anything like that. So I when that subpoena drops for him to appear in Georgia, and I said this once, it will be my greatest joy for him to think that he can refuse that subpoena and sit his ass there over there in Florida with Florida Man and the U.S. Marshals, Tommy Lee Jones and his crew, go over there and pick him up. And bring him there. Yeah, I'd love to see it. And bring him to Georgia. Because an example needs to be made, but I have this deep-rooted feeling that the Republicans are hedging their bets. They don't believe Donald Trump is going to be the nominee for them in 2024. They know he's not. As a matter of fact, behind the scenes, they're waiting on all the shoes to fall. Why? You take him out of the equation, you can blame the Democrat. There was a Democrat, and keep his supporters. But you get him off the playing field. And then you go ahead and back somebody like DeSantis, Florida Man.
Yeah, you was telling me about him.
Those Trump supporters and was acting Trump-like, so he'll keep Trump's guys, Trump's people, support base, but be more Republican like they really are.
Yeah, you told me about DeSantis.
Yep, he's a scumbag. But to them, he's an acceptable scumbag. They only accepted Donald Trump because of his far-right craze. So,
well,
that's my take. That's my politic rant.
That is a powerful epilogue that you just let off.
For the day, but he personally is setting the table, trying to set this table for this racial civil war thing. It will blow up in their face because this is a different time. This is not the 1800s. This is a different time, and some of these people out here that you think because they share your skin complexion, they share your ideals. Not so much. Not so much. So I just don't think that's going to end well if he goes that route. I don't think it's going to end well.
Only time will tell. That is crazy. But yeah, I don't.
More people above the Mason-Dixon line than there is below.
Oh, the Mason-Dixon line. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's more, and frankly, they're outnumbered. Like worldwide, they're outnumbered, but in the United States, they're the minority now. Caucasians are the minority. So you're factoring in how many of those minority Caucasians are progressive anyway. So all you got in your corner is them far-right crazies. But carry on. There was only 2,000 people at the Capitol. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. I call them brothers the NFAC. You know about them, right?
No. Who?
The not fucking around quarter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah. I call them brothers the modern day Panthers, you know.
Yeah.
I'll call them brothers.
I heard about that, but yeah, I heard that ain't no joke.
Unless because they exert their Second Amendment right too. Hillbillies, these Caucasoids think they're the only ones that can bear arms. So yeah, okay, there's a lot of guns on the street. There's more guns on the street in Chicago probably than 3 different states in the South.
I believe, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
You can start that if you want. That's a banner that maybe the Crips and Bloods could get behind. You know, if something like that were to pop off.
Oh my goodness. I remember that when all of this stuff happened, first started happening with George Floyd stuff, they came to a truce. It was on television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that, and that some people that, you know, put their support behind him, you know, for their political gain, you know, wakes up and realize that's not the road to, you know, follow him down. But I do think what I said is true. I think at the end of the day, the Republicans, most of them are sitting back watching this take place, and deep down, they're hoping that he takes that tumble. That way they can, you know, and they don't have to put their fingerprints on it. They can just blame Democrats, use it for their political gain, and keep right on moving.
And keep riding with,
and
just endorse the man from Florida. Yeah.
Somebody else. Exactly, and keep it moving.
Yep.
That's what I think they want. But they won't say it. Even though some of them did publicly say what he said in terms of pardoning the insurrectionists. One, you know, they said that would be a mistake, that all of them deserve to go to jail. And then his comment on the racist prosecutor, you know, they gave there's no room for divisiveness and blah, 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 you know, speech. You know, that's what they do. But they have to, that's the way they have to play it, because they're trying to keep the two irons in the fire. They want to distance from him, but they want to keep his supporters, so they need a fall guy to blame for his demise. That way it looks like, we were with him to the end. But those darn Democrats, boy, I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
They're just evil. Now vote for us. We'll pick up where Trump left off. That's the play.
Goddamn niggers. Stop.
Exactly. That's the play. That's always been the play. So, you know, we'll see how things shake out, but it's going to be made for, what will be made for TV movie And I intend on watching all of it simply because I was too young to sit and watch Watergate. I watched Oliver North, the whole Oliver North deal. I watched that night in and night out because my mama was watching it. But I was too young to watch Watergate, Richard Nixon deal.
Right.
They're going to air starting a couple weeks, Monday through Friday, on national networks. The January 6th committee is going to do these interviews, these, whatever, all these people that's getting subpoenaed, they're going to be justified on TV. So it's going to be made for, TV because with the Supreme Court saying there's no executive privilege that Donald Trump can assert all them subpoenas. He's going to show up to court, or ultimately the Justice Department can issue arrest warrants at this point. And I'm just curious to see how it's going to play out because they're under oath. That's why a lot of people don't want to show up. You can go on Fox News and say anything. Once you get deposed, if you lie, and now that they have the phone records and the text records and the written records and all that stuff of what actually happened on January 6th, if you come there as a congressman that was in Donald Trump's orbit on that day and you talk to him and you come in there and say, I didn't talk to Donald Trump, but they got the recording of you talking to Donald Trump.
Oh, you up the river. You up Schitt's Creek.
You just lied to Congress. That's perjury.
Yep.
That's a felony.
Yep.
So that's the reason why a lot of them are just, we just not going to show up. Well, that's fine and well, but now that the Supreme Court has said you don't have privilege, only the current president can exert executive privilege, and he can remove it from the previous president's stuff. That kind of puts you in a bind there.
Yep.
So,
well, again, bro, powerful epilogue. But I tell you what, we can make our pick. Let's make our picks next week. Even though you told me last night, I'm not gonna say nothing. You told me who you riding who you riding with early on. But next week we make the prediction. I can zero into the NBA a little bit more, and you can keep dropping this knowledge. This is gold, bro.
Snowfall is coming back in a couple weeks, bro.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Yes. 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 Oh, I was wondering. I've been wondering when snow falls. Yes. All right. Good. Oh, Franklin Saint, you son of a bitch. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because last time we left off, last time we walked, huh?
I'm surprised your ass ain't watched Ozark.
I okay. Now that I'm all moved in and settled in, I can binge watch because during the day when the kids at school, I got nothing else to do. I can binge watch.
Snowfall, but I'm gonna be honest. Ozark is Ozark might be better.
Oh, okay.
It's not what people think. They think it's about this white family. It's about drug cartel. He's an accountant. He's like a genius. Jason Bateman. He's a genius accountant. And his company, the accounting firm that he works for, is low-key washing money for a Mexican drug cartel. And some of his partners start skimming some money off the cartel, and they come in and whack them all, except for him. And they end up forcing him to work for them. That's what the whole show is about.
Okay. All right, I'm a binge watch. Matter of fact, I'll probably start tonight. I'm gonna start tonight.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Okay.
It's one of them shows that you wouldn't necessarily think, because I thought that when Breaking Bad first came out, I didn't get the hype because I hadn't watched it. Now, having watched it, Heisenberg. That's all you need to know, Heisenberg.
Okay, I'm gonna start. I'm
not watching no show about no bikers. And yeah, you come to find out the show ain't really about bikers.
Yeah, I'm gonna start watching it tonight. But until next time, brother.
Yep.
All right, bro.
Later.
Oh, my man Tony. I knew the political pardon shot was coming, but that's heavy. That's heavy as hell. That is definitely heavy as hell. And well, with that being said, where the buzzer? Oh, man, again, it was a wonderful championship Sunday. Honestly, with the exception of the wild card round, the NFL playoffs have been off the hook. But Anyway, I hope everybody out there, again, is doing okay and maintaining positive energy, giving positive vibes, and, just keeping the negative out the front door, like, honestly. And I just want everybody to be cool. I want everybody to be great, and I just wish everybody nothing but love. I wish everybody nothing but love, again. And as I told you over the last couple of weeks, I have definitely made some changes in my life. And to me, I just want to surround myself with nothing but positivity. That is it. I understand that life is going to happen, and it happens to all of us. But I just want to continue to surround myself with people who are glass half full people instead of glass half empty. And luckily for me, I've been blessed enough to be able to have the same circle of people around me forever. That's why I love them so much. But anyway, it's your boy Brandon Brevon Towns, and please don't forget to hit that subscription button and become part of the Sports Plus Life family. Again, have a great week. I'm out this day. Peace. Love you.